Okay, now finally I want to talk about my favorite type of modulation source in Massive X, and that's the performers. The performers are kind of like LFOs, but they allow you to draw any shape that you want. If you look here, I'm clicking on the edit section, selecting what tool I want to use, and I can draw in any kind of shape I want. Now, there's a grid section and a tool selection section, a rate and a level, a bilateral and unilateral, just like there is with the LFOs. So if I put this onto the filter and I have it on bilateral, you'll see that it modulates with positive and negative values. Now, the grid doesn't change how quickly modulation occurs, but it does give you additional grid lines. So if I draw over them again, now it'll be quicker than it was before. If I increase the number of grid lines like this, again, I draw over it again, it'll be even quicker. You've also got polyrhythmic grid lines. And you can also change your time signature here. If you're not too familiar with time signature, I would avoid doing this, but if you've watched our music theory section of the course, or you've bought the music theory course and watched it separately, you should know what time signature is. Now, we've got a couple more parameters which I want to show you, but first of all, this allows you to select how many bars or beats or divisions of the performer are going to be used. So if I have it on simply 1 bar, it's just going to keep looping this 1 bar again. Now, all of this can sort of be cleared out. And then I can zoom in from here and just work with 1 bar in a much sort of easier way, because I'm zoomed in, I can see exactly what's going on. Another thing is the vertical grid. So right now, if I was to select this tool, which allows me to simply create steps, I have 24 steps above and 24 steps below that I can modulate this in. Let's say I wanted to apply a performer to the pitch, and I wanted to be able to control 1 octave from the original pitch. I need to have 12 steps vertically and to be on unipolarity, so that each 1 step equals 1 semitone. Then I could do something like this. We get a nice arpeggiation going. And it's in with our key, because each one of these equates to a semitone, and I can select exactly how many semitones up it goes. So this is when you would want to adjust the vertical grid. Now, overlay can allow you to, if I turn it on, to change the grid lines a little bit. So if we select, let's say 16 grid lines, 1/16, I can, as you can see, expand them, compress them in different ways. And that allows you to still have overall 1 bar, but change how quickly it goes from one to the other. Kind of like adding a little bit of swing or shuffle to the actual arpeggiation. Now, something extremely crucial to the arpeggiator, or to the performer, that people aren't really familiar with, is this here. This window is only applicable for the performers. Now, you've actually got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I wanted to check. You've got 12 different performers which you could have, and I can hold Alt or Option, click and drag this over another one of these slots, and I can have different arpeggiations, or I'll just show you, I'll do a couple different things on each one. Now, this has this curve, this has the original curve. On this one, I could have another one. I can maybe take off the overlay and draw this in again. We've got 3 different arpeggiators that you can switch from. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you how to switch from one to the other in a moment, because right now it's still playing the first one. Keep that in mind. But you've also got 3 performers, top to bottom. You've got performer 1, performer 2, and performer 3. So combining all 3 of them, you've got 12 times 3, right? 36 different performers which you've got access to. But you could also apply each performer to a different module in the whole synthesizer. You could have performer 1 arpeggiating the pitch, performer 2 doing something to the filter, performer 3 something with the noise oscillator, and so on and so forth. It's endless possibilities. Now, how would you switch from one to the other? Well, first of all, you need to turn on remote. Now, you need to select an octave. So with remote being at C-2 instead of C-1, it means if I play a MIDI note in the octave of C-2, it will change which performer is being used. You see, C-2 is the first one, C#-2 is the second performer, D is the third performer, and so on all the way to the 12th performer. Now, launch with key means that you can change performers using these notes, but the performer will restart its cycle every time you play a new MIDI note. This is the same as the LFO being on loop restart. And this is what I tend to use. I used to use launch on key because otherwise the performer will only restart its cycle every time you change from one performer to another or you push the actual remote octave note. You see how that's restarting every time I'm pressing it? On key, it won't restart every time you press it, but it will restart every time you play a new MIDI note, which is what I tend to have it. And then mode, loop, or one shot means one shot, it will only play through the performer once and then stop. Loop, it will keep looping it round and round. So that's how you use the performer. Go ahead and experiment with it, apply it on the filter, on the pitch, on various different parameters, perhaps even the phase modulation amount, and see what results you can come up with. They can be really, really interesting and cool results.